Okay, so I have recorded. I recorded, starting the recording. Goodness gracious! I started the recording, and I read the first 3 paragraphs, and then it popped up on my screen being like an error occurred, and I'm like, what happened? I ran out of room on my drive, so I have two drives on my computer, so I just had to stop recording, switch the file location, and oh my gosh, like switch where the files were gonna go. But now I have to explain what I explained at the beginning, which was um, they're all blaming Reddy for this whole situation because he was the one who kidnapped the businessman who is actually a businessman and set this whole thing in motion. So basically, and then he went behind their back again and captured John Cummins, which was actually a CIA spy. But so Reddy thought he did a good thing, but so now they're all blaming Reddy, and Reddy is like, kill Hurley, and that gives me hope because they don't like Reddy at this point. So maybe they're not going to kill Hurley, hopefully. Again, if Hurley dies, I will be super duper upset. Another thing I wanted to say, I'm gonna add this in because I didn't say it last time. There's a chance that maybe Mitch, when he got captured, doesn't go to the same place Hurley goes to, because Mitch was putting out rumors in the prelude. It explains that he was putting out rumors about what he was going to do, but they were all false. Depending on what those were that he told, they could just be taking him to the regular police, because we know that the people with the truncheon things that I still don't know what they are. I don't know. Wait, what are truncheons? I'm gonna look this up while I'm talking, because we know now that the truncheon guys, the guys who carry the truncheons, are just the police officers, and then Hurley got passed off to goodness gracious, to the Islamic Jihad or whatever. To the people, Syed is a short, thick stick carried as a weapon by a police officer. Wow, thanks. A staff or baton acting as a symbol of authority. Got it. But they're leather. Usually when we see a baton carried by a police officer, they're like metal, right? They're black metal. So I was, okay, that threw me off. Yeah, definitely. It looked, yeah, okay. Got it. Sorry. This is a much slower start than last time. I've been talking for 3.5 minutes already. But, so now I'm thinking that maybe Mitch is being taken to the actual police place because they think that he's just a troublemaker. Because right now they're like, are there any more Americans in the city? We don't know. Anyway, let's start this chapter because it's been long enough. 4 minutes of me talking about nothing. Okay, here we go. Chapter 54. Rapp stepped out into the hot afternoon sun and looked over the edge of the veranda. The narrow street that snaked its way up the hill was barely wide enough for a single car to pass. Down at the bottom, maybe 100 yards away, he could see the Toyota pickup truck blocking the street. The houses on this little goat hill were all flat-roofed. Clotheslines were strung up, and shirts and pants and other garments flapped in the breeze. Beneath him, in the tiny courtyard, 3 vehicles were packed in with no more than a few feet in between. The 10-foot wall had a ring of razor wire strung from one end to the other. He looked to his right and found a stack of green fiberglass crates. Stenciled on the side in black letters were a string of numbers and letters that he didn't understand, and then a few that he did. Each crate contained multiple M72 law anti-armor weapons. Okay, really quick. Something you missed in my last recording because it got deleted. I was I turned the page, right? And that word, anti-armor, was half on one page and half on the other, so I stumbled over it. Just saying. I was like, anti-armor. I don't know. Next to those were a crate of rounds for an M203 grenade launcher that was leaning against the wall. Above that, affixed to the wall, was a hand-drawn laminated map that marked the distance and elevation to certain landmarks up to a mile away. Rapp was wondering what all this stuff was when he heard the voice of the man who had pulled him out of the safe house the night before. Okay, and this is where the recording cut off. We call this the skybox. Not anymore, really, but during the height of the war, we would sit up there here and watch it all unfold. Rapp turned around to find Rob Ridley sipping on a bright red can of Coke. Skybox? Sorry. Ridley reached the edge of the balcony, pointed toward the ocean to the north, and then drew his hand south. See that big ugly scar that runs from the north to the south? Yeah. That's the famous Green Line. I was wondering what that was. We'd sit up here and watch them fight like a football game. That's why we called it the skybox. Rapp pointed to the stack of U.S. Army crates. Looks like you guys did more than just watch. That shit is more for self-defense. Although, I saw some badass snipers roll through here. That's the unwritten story about this little war. The snipers. They did most of the damage. We found that they were getting a little close. Wait. Did I just find a typo? This says, Hurley pointed up at the overhang. No, he didn't. Unless this guy is somehow Hurley, but he's not, because he's not. Okay, wait, hang on. Here. Hurley pointed up at the overhang. Excuse me? Okay, I'm gonna assume that means to say Ridley, and I'm gonna say, okay, Ridley pointed up at the overhang. They started sending rounds in here on a daily basis. We put up sandbags, and then after one of our guys got killed, we put in a request for a couple of those badasses from Fort Bragg. 2 of them showed up 5 days later. Ridley pointed at the map on the wall. Yeah, I meant to say Ridley. They put that thing together in 6 days. They had 31 recorded kills, and that pretty much solved the problem. Kind of like bringing in an exterminator. Ridley laughed and then added, "That's classified, so don't go around telling that story to just anyone." How long have we had a presence up here? You'd have to ask Stan that question. I was still in the Marine Corps when they blew our barracks up. Ridley pointed to the south. Right over there? I showed up in 88. That was when we started rotating sniper teams through here. They loved it. In fact, this is where the D-boys battle tested the first Barrett 50 cal. He shot a guy just over 7,000 feet away. That's more than a mile. 1.3 and some change. What is going on? It says Hurley again. Am I missing something? I'm so confused. 2 typos within 2 pages is kind of... Who edited this? Anyway, I'm so sorry. This is throwing me off. It says Hurley looked off toward the green line, but... Oh my gosh. Hurley looked off toward the green line. I'm so confused. Okay, I'm so sorry. Strange breed, those snipers. Pretty quiet lot. Kept to themselves for the most part, but that night they got shit-faced and naked. I guess 7,000 feet is a pretty rare club. At any rate, I think we've been up here since 85. I thought we pulled out, Rapp said. Laley never pulls out, or at least rarely. Shit, this little outpost is what stopped this thing from being a complete disaster. We know everything Damascus was up to. We helped blow up supply convoys, target the occasional asshole who wandered too far away from his home turf. We even taught these guys how to use indirect fire, and the other side knew we were here too. That's why they sent those snipers after us. Okay, so this isn't... Okay, I'm so sorry. So this is where you're based? Rap asked, thinking it didn't make a lot of sense. I think this whole chapter is making no sense to me because you're using the wrong names. Oh my god. I'm so confused. No, Ridley shook his head. Not for over a year. Things are too quiet around here now. So what exactly do you do for Langley? I'm kind of here and there. I guess you could call me a floater. Rapp had no idea what that meant, and got the distinct impression that Ridley wasn't going to enlighten him any further. Rapp let out a yawn. His nights and days were upside down. After their mad dash from the apartment, Ridley had filled in some of the blanks. The problem was that beyond the obvious fact that Hurley and Richard had been picked up, Ridley had very few details. So this isn't a flashback, this is present. So why would they use Hurley's name twice for Ridley? I'm gonna keep reading. It's just typos, Emily. That's all it is. Just typos. Rapp had pressed him hard, wanting to know what Langley was doing. What Langley was doing to find them. Ridley had to admit not much of anything. Langley was sending a small 6-man SOG team, and they were actively trying to collect any intel that would aid in a rescue. Ridley worked his sources well past midnight, but every single one of them seemed to have conflicting information. Finally, at 4 a.m., he sent Rapp to bed and told him to get some rest. He assured Rapp that he'd been through more than a few of these abductions, and they tended to progress slowly, especially for the first few days. Rapp had a hard time falling asleep. He couldn't stop himself from imagining what Hurley and Richards were going through. As part of his training, he'd spent 2 days tied to a chair. Really? Guys would come in randomly and smack him around. Oh my gosh. I hope that's in the movie. That's really funny. They even gave him some low voltage shocks from a small engine battery. Ah! There was nothing remotely enjoyable about the experience, and Hurley had cautioned them that it paled in comparison to what they would go through at the hands of a sadist or a skilled interrogator. Finally, around sunrise, he had dozed off. Listen, I know what you're going through. Rapp gave him a sideways glance. Ridley was a few inches shorter and a decade or so older. Rapp couldn't quite figure out if he was an optimist or a pessimist. He seemed to kind of float back and forth between the two. I've known Sans for 6 years. I'll do anything to try to save that guy. No, you won't. I guarantee that you will not do anything to save that guy. Rapp will. But we need to get some good intel before we can even consider lifting a finger. Not a finger! Back in training, if someone had asked him to lay down his life to save Stan Hurley, he would have laughed at him. But now he wasn't so sure. Any idea where they are? Ridley pointed east. The other side of the big ugly scar, Indian country. You ever go over there? Ridley gave him a nervous laugh. I try not to. So you've been. Occasionally. It's nowhere near as bad as it was back when the shit was really flying. He searched Rapp's face, wondering what he was thinking. It's still a nasty place for a stranger like you, kid. Rapp nodded, even though he really wasn't listening. So it wouldn't be such a good idea to wander over there and start asking questions? That would be about the dumbest thing you could do, kid. Ridley could see the upstart wasn't listening to him. He reached out and grabbed his arm. I've been to that little lake house down in southern Virginia. I've seen the way Stan takes badasses and grinds them up and spits out little pussies. But I'm guessing if you made it through his selection process, you've got some serious skills, am I right? Rapp looked at Ridley's grip until he released his arm. Just like, let go of me. What's your point? I don't care how good you are. Going over to Indian country on your own is a suicide mission. We'll end up looking for 3 of you instead of 2. Well, I'm not good at sitting around, so somebody better come up with a plan and come up with it quick. The triple beep 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 of a car horn caught their attention, and they both looked to the base of the hill where a 3-car convoy had just pulled up to the roadblock. Finally, Ridley said, "Who is it?" "A local who knows more about this hellhole than anyone." Yeah. So it's alluding to them not being able to come up with a plan that will get Hurley and Richards back fast enough to satisfy Mitch's uneasiness. Because Mitch is, like he said in the chapter, thought in the chapter, he, if somebody had asked him if he would lay down his life for Hurley back then, he would have laughed, but now he wasn't so sure. In other words, he's gonna go try to save Hurley, and I don't know if he's gonna succeed or not, to be honest with you. That was really weird how they called Ridley Hurley twice within 2 pages. I don't think I've ever seen that before, where they accidentally used the wrong character name for a character. That was really weird, and it threw me off, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it threw me off so much. But I'm going to go ahead and end this one and move on to the next video. If I had not taken so much time to marvel at the Hurley misuse, then the Hurley name misuse, I would have been able to put 2 chapters in here, but unfortunately. Alright. Bye. Okay, I've recorded this once already, but I'm going to go ahead and start over again, because that's just the way it is. Now, I went back and I went back and looked in those pages that confused me, and you'll never guess. All right, you'll never guess what it is. I looked in this book, this copy of the book. Oh my god, and it says Ridley. Oh my god, focus on it. There we go. It says Ridley, and then again, it says Ridley. Oh my god. Backward. It says Ridley here too. So I don't know what happened. Why is it so hard to copy this book, okay, into this book without a typo? What were they doing? Like, did they not have the book already electronically on the computer? Like, did they have to have somebody type this one up into this one? Because that's the only way I can think that this happened. Alright? By the way, it's like 4 something a.m. and on this day, and oh my god, what the heck? I don't, like, I recorded reading this chapter a few days ago, and I was like, what is happening? Who